It's a special episode of Meet the Hollywood Press as we go inside the industry with producers of Fox hit series Empire, plus how Me Too is impacting TV, the state of diversity in Hollywood, and a speed round of this week's busiest topics. All that and more on Meet the Hollywood Press for January 20th, 2019. I'm Alina Vission, and now your host of Meet the Hollywood Press, Joseph Kapsch.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Meet the Hollywood Press. And we're branching out today with a special episode. For viewers that have stuck with us, and by the way, I should have said good afternoon to you before I went into that whole whatever I was trying to do there.
It's all good. It's
Alina,
Sunday fun day.
happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday
So
to you
good to
too.
see you.
Good to be back. I'm excited for our guests today. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm more interested to talk to the two ladies to my left. So let me get to this, but really quickly, we're gonna be doing like special standalone episodes now where we talk to producers and writers about the issues facing the industry, topical stuff that is being buzzed about anyway in industry circles. And so we're very pleased to have to my left Laneika James, producer and writer of Empire, and Lasheika James. I'm getting nervous because I said that before we got on air. I said it with an L, and I was like, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" So I literally got nervous. Welcome to Meet the Hollywood Press.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, absolutely.
Congratulations on the 5 seasons, season 5, and it's on fire still.
Oh my gosh, it's been a long time.
I haven't been this excited about the show. I mean, I've stuck with it because I'm a loyalist, but it's like the season 1, it has the fire of season 1, but in a different way, because now you're touching, we're going to get this later, but like on these social issues and these really like deep topics where you're still weaving like the soapy camp, but then with real topic. I love it. I absolutely love the show.
You guys kill it.
Yeah.
Testament to our room. Yes. To our room. Yes.
So here's what we're going to do. Just quickly, all of the stuff happening in Hollywood this week, where we normally do a bigger segment. I want to just sort of go through some of the buzziest, kind of like a topical question, and then we'll move on from this. So last night, obviously, we're in the midst of Oscar season, and PGAs were last night. The big buzz, I guess, within the industry is just that PGAs was going to be Producers Guild Awards, for those who don't know, but was going to be a real determiner of where Stars Born really has chances now at actually going all the way. It didn't really. This season has kind of been very mishmashed, if you're following. But what were your feelings? Because again, Producers Guild to me didn't ratify. Like, it still feels all over the place.
It does. It feels like different award shows are gravitating towards different movies. I mean, Green Book won.
Green Book, obviously, yes.
Yeah, which seems to be, I think, might be actually the front runner for
Agreed.
the Oscar. I mean, everyone thought it was going to be A Star is Born. Great movie. But I think Green Book has been kind of taking the cake on all of these. So that was what I got out of this, is that has a steady train going.
Yeah. Did both of you see Green Book?
Yes.
So thoughts?
You know what it is? In a field of movies that, they're great films, they are heavy topics, really emotionally draining.
Yes.
It is like the light in a field of, dark topics. So I understand why it's something that is hopeful, it's fun, it's enjoyable for audiences. I see why it's getting the awards this season.
Why do you think it was able to, though, overcome that little blip? Because there was the two kind of controversy. It was that the show the story wasn't authentic to what was actually happening, but then it was also the N-word being dropped by, why is his name escaping me?
The writer?
No, the actor.
The actor,
Vigo?
Viggo Mortensen during a Q&A.
Yes.
Usually that stuff can really kill an Oscar campaign.
Yes.
For some way, do you think it's sure? Do you think it's because his co-star Mahershala Ali forgave him so quickly that it just kind of squashed it?
I think Mahershala definitely had dealings with it, but I also think in the context, because I had to read that report and see what it was that he was saying.
Yes.
I think he was he wasn't saying it maliciously. He was trying to make an example, prove a point, but it wasn't the right point. There are different ways that you could address that.
Yes,
and I think that's what Mahershala
said.
said.
N-word, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
I agree. It's like when Bill Maher thought he was going for comedic effect. It's never okay.
It's never okay.
Exactly.
Never okay for the N-word, never okay for the F-word, it's just never okay.
Exactly.
So I think that Bohemian Rhapsody now. Like, it feels like it's that horse race between Rami and
Yes,
Bradley.
Yeah.
yes.
I guess that a lot of people are saying they want to see Bradley take the directing one if he has a shot. I just don't think I think Star is Born. I loved it. We gushed about it. Remember, I did like an 8-minute segment gushing about it. I cried in the theater, but I just don't think it's going all the way.
I thought it was good for his directorial debut. I think he knocked it out of the park, definitely. But when I saw it, because it came out earlier in the season, I was like, it's a great movie, but I was really looking forward to the other movies that were coming out. And normally, if it's something that I think is going to be a main Oscar contender, I'm like, no, this is it. It's going to win. Right. But I was looking forward to seeing other movies to see how it would stack up. And that's not to say it's, not a good movie. It's a great movie. But I was still like, Yeah.
I think just based on his performance, and I can see the conflict in both Rami and him.
Yeah.
For me, this was the best performance I've ever seen for Bradley in terms of like
Oh
just
my
transforming
God,
into that
yes.
character. I was just like thrown by how like he really embodied that character. So I don't know.
Right. No, they all did great jobs. I think sometimes it's the momentum, and then you become very clear like who's gonna win. Like, I remember watching Beale Street, and I knew Regina King was gonna. That's how I felt. I was like, oh, she's gonna get an Oscar. Okay. Walking away from that film, so I think you kind of know.
There's so much, but also something with Regina King too. There's so much love for her
Oh my God.
in the industry on the TV side. Remember, like even that year. Mary. But no, she remember that year she won for something in TV, and she was legit blown away in her seat. I love those wins because everything's so contrived, and then it's always like the oh my God, it's like the faking that you knew you won 7 before this. You kind of knew you were going to pick up the 8th, but that's what I think is no fun for me as a person who covered trades and had to live in this for your consideration world. It's more fun now to watch them not being in the news, reporting the news of it. But because like I don't know every little, like I have to now defer to like the Scott Feinbergs and the columns at the different trades, but it's fun. It's more fun that way. I don't almost want to know. But as you keep seeing all of the drumbeat, it's always SAG, you know this. SAG, PGA is kind of like your barometer.
Right.
Golden Globes is like, I always say this, it's like 90, eccentric people. It's the it's just, I love that everyone's like the Globe. It's like it's just a party, and it's like don't go by the Globe.
Let's go have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Get drunk.
Turn up time.
So true. Okay, so do you have any Oscar favorites before we move on? Like anyone you're really pulling for? So you obviously just have Regina.
I walked away from that film, and we have debates about the film in our room all the time because some people loved it, and some people were like, I mean, it's okay. And I actually really enjoyed that film, and I love the moment that she was allowed to have in that film.
Yeah.
So
I think that you run the risk too when you win from like you won for Moonlight. There's always like those comparisons. You're like competing against the shadow of yourself in a way, more so than the films this year.
Exactly.
I liked it, but that's all I hear. I liked it, but I liked Moonlight better.
That's right. That's exactly what we hear.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we hear.
Okay, so the next topic, quickly, Bill Maher. I love Bill Maher, but like, what is matter? What's going on with Bill Maher?
Who knows?
So,
he has his moments.
He's a man. What's going on with him? He's a man.
We love men. Let's be clear. It's okay, guys. But yes, he's one of a few.
I don't know if he's like early senior moments. He needs more ginkgo biloba. But like some of the things, like he's a smart guy, and I watch him religiously. But I'm just like was just taken aback by this. So for viewers that maybe didn't catch Friday night's show, Bernie Sanders' campaign had been accused, his 2016 campaign, in the New York Times report that a lot of females from that campaign had reported incidents of sexual harassment during the campaign, on the campaign. Sexual harassment, so let me just twist. So then Bill Maher went on to say he didn't really understand why Bernie was, and I'm paraphrasing here, was being beat up, because it wasn't that bad of a bad of a
What?
Please take this because
unless he was there, he can never associate.
Right.
Unless you walked in a woman's shoes, her heels, her Louboutins, you can never.
That's what I mean.
It's
say what is so bad and what's not so bad.
It's the inability to empathize and put your place in these women's positions to undermine it by saying, "Oh, it's not that bad," and it's also just a mansplaining thing. And you know, a lot of the times, I'm sure he's well intentioned. I always find that when I see men and their knee-jerk reaction is to defend people who are sexual harassers or dismiss it, they tend to relate to the men in some way, you know, and not to implicate, you know, anybody anyway, but it's like you're relating more to the man and stepping in their shoes and trying to, you know, undermine and demean it, but it's like, no, you know, like, come on.
Yeah.
Do you at least think, though, we've gotten to a place where, like, we're sitting in a platform like this, and as females that work in the industry and for higher profiles, do you think, though, that at least you feel more comfortable being able to, like,
Call
speak?
it out?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in our room, especially at our job. And that's one of the things. I mean, our show in particular, you know, Eileen Chaikin. I mean, she's a precedent to have, you know, the employees who work there, it's usually half and half, like on set as well as in the writer's room. As far as, you know, male-female ratio. So we feel very comfortable and very empowered and very supported. And, you know, the room that we created is much like a family. So even when you call somebody out, it's with love.
With love.
But it's like, you know,
jokes.
And we you know, make each other aware, you know, of our perspectives and, you know, how we see things or, you know, watch what you're saying, bro. You know, but, I mean, sometimes you just call it out. But, you know, I think that I'm glad the Me Too stuff is becoming more prevalent.
It's not going anywhere, by the way.
Hello, and it should not ever, because I think it's really important for, especially for women coming up in this business, to be cognizant of how powerful their voices are just by speaking up against things, about things that are, you know, done against, you know, towards
Alina, when you were watching that clip of him, were you struck, though, by thinking to yourself, like, is this his real thoughts accidentally sneak, like where he lies, like, you know, on the issues, or is it like a slip up? Like, I didn't mean to say, because to me it's like when people make gaffes like that, it's more a part of a larger, like
a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
Right. I think I agree with what she was saying. I think, you know, he does slip up sometimes.
Yeah.
This, I don't know if it was a slip up, because I think there is some part of him that sides with the male. You know, in order to say that, there has to be even a little part of you that feels that way. And like they said, you know, if you weren't there, you weren't a part of it, you can't diminish those women's voices. And that's pretty much what he was doing, and saying also that, you know, well, Bernie was off doing his thing, so he can't be responsible. Okay, if this had happened in Barack Obama's campaign, he would have been dragged. Okay.
And by the way, I call bullshit, because my goodness, as the leader of your campaign, it is your responsibility to
from the head to the tail. You set the tone.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. In order for things like this to an end to be put to stuff like this, you need to be at the top and getting involved. You need to you should be aware if you're at the top. You should be the main person that's making sure that everybody is okay.
Agreed. Well, that was like that to me doesn't help his case to go, well, if you don't know about your own house and what's going on, so you want to run everyone's house in the country, to me it's not helping your case to go, I was kind of busy, I didn't know.
It's like, no, own it.
Right.
Okay, so that's Bill Maher's kind of like second big thing. Like, he's got to be really careful, because at some point there's got to be a point where HBO is going to go, okay. And also, I mean, the difference when you see a millennial, like, to me, I'm a big Trevor Noah fan. Do you see, though, the difference in just naturally how a male his age presents himself and just in how he speaks of the, it's like I wouldn't even imagine in a million years that would even be possible.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's just, and I know we're like,
maybe
it's generational. It's like but it isn't. It's like,
but does it have to be really? It's not that hard to be a dope, understanding, compassionate, good guy. It's just not that hard. I'm with Idris Elba. Like, are you worried about me too? No, I mean, if you are not sexually harassing and assaulting people, you shouldn't be worried about
Exactly.
it. I mean, it's not that difficult, guys. Get out of this Hollywood bubble.
Which brings me to my next topic now that got me in a big Facebook argument while I was even late because I was typing in the car at the light. So Leslie Jones came out, and rightfully so. I'm so team Leslie on this one. Leslie Jones slammed that Jason Reitman is going to reboot yet again Ghostbusters franchise, but pick up the almost like probably taking a page out of the Halloween, picking up the origin story from the original 1984 one. And then ignoring like the female thing happened. So she came out on Twitter. Do you have
the
okay,
tweet?
Go ahead,
Yeah, so
Take
she
it
came
away.
out on Twitter and she's pretty much said, so insulting, like, fuck us. We didn't count. It's something Trump would do. In a Trump voice, gonna redo Ghostbusters. Better with men. Will be huge. Those women ain't Ghostbusters. So annoying. Such a dick move, and I don't give a fuck. I'm saying something.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
All I could say is good for her. Because here's the thing, and this is what the argument was lying in, and I want to... It's not even... Because here's what the most of the white men on the chain that I was on would say, that movie wasn't good, and it was like so subpar, and it wasn't a big blockbuster hit. And I was like, how many male-led movies got a sequel that weren't good, were lukewarm?
Exactly.
It's just... It's like... Females have to be on eggshells, and then they started invoking Ocean's 12, which was making me more pissed off.
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
so like, and look, whenever they remake, it's like it's awful because it's like, to me, this is what it really stood for with Leslie. Not about the quality of Ghostbusters, but about yet again this little inkling of Hollywood's boys club. Let's return to business as usual. Let's go back to the male movie.
We gave them their chance.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Female
we
remakes.
tried it didn't work.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? Your writers, your producers. So it's like you come from it from a different perspective. What's your?
I would hope, being that she is outraged and has brought this to light, that they would at the least, as writers producers, consider maybe trying to incorporate
them, or
those women and don't act like they didn't exist. Because it to me, as writers, to me, the fascinating thing about what we do is that we love a challenge. The challenge is when it's trying to incorporate new things. When you dig yourself into a hole or push yourself into a corner, how do we get out of it?
Yeah.
So
and let's be very clear. If people have the opinion that the movie is bad, okay, it's not bad because women are in it. Like, get over that. Like,
that's what it is.
Gosh. I mean, the original Ghostbusters cameoed in the film. Like, come on. Like, let's be real for a second. And they can involve those women, they can involve those characters, and if they want to focus on another subset of the story, but don't act like they just completely didn't exist. Like, it's just, this is just an off, sequel that we just don't talk about anymore. That's crazy.
It was being so downplayed in the debate now online because it was just like, well, his father started the friend, and it's like he just wants to pick it back up. Like, it's so innocent. Like, nobody in the entire room when they were talking about doing the project was like, ooh, we are in the midst of
about
Me
it.
We're
Yeah.
neck like eyeball high and Me Too. You think this might be want to pump the brakes a little
It
bit?
seems extremely tone deaf.
Exactly.
How about that?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm Team Leslie. Keep just giving them hell, Leslie. Please.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay, and then the last thing, and then we'll get to why you're actually here to just talk more in depth about the TV industry at large. There was updates, obviously, the horrifying R. Kelly documentary now. Sony has dropped him, but this is what I want to get your guys' read on. So it's Variety and like Billboard reporting that high-level sources are saying he's been dropped, but Sony's saying completely silent. What do you think that's... I want to ask you first, because your husband, as I said last week, is a music producer. Spill the tea, Alina.
I don't know. I don't know why Sony would keep quiet if it actually has happened, because people are calling for it. I think it's the right thing to do to drop him. So it wouldn't be like a bad PR thing for them to say, yeah, we have dropped him. So it's really curious to me why they're staying silent.
Do you think it's because they're going to wait if he's actually, like, convicted?
Yeah,
like they just want to keep it mum, and it's like, why could that be it?
It may be
because they don't want to face a lawsuit.
Okay.
It sounds like that.
What did you think about these radio stations that are now polling his music? It's like kind of similar to Bill Cosby, what's going on here. And by the way, did Empire ever collaborate in music with R. Kelly? I mean, to put you on the spot.
I mean, please. We can officially say no, we did not.
See, then you can wear that with a badge on.
And proudly so, because they were asked. And no. Nope.
Good.
Not at all.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
We love that.
We do.
We talked all about R. Kelly last week. I just wanted to bring that up nugget. And the other thing, my favorite subject, or apparently our viewers' favorite subject.
It went from Roseanne
to Roseanne was my 5-week thing, and now it's Julie Chen Moonves and Les Moonves. So Les Moonves, you haven't heard the last of him. So he was denied his $120 million severance. And now he's suing. It was reported this week that he is suing to fight for it. So I don't have much more to say except, I mean, his wife's working for the network still. He feels he's justified. I mean, he really needs that 120 million. But any thoughts here? What would Cookie Lion say about this?
Yes.
What would Cookie deal
Cookie
with?
Lion would probably say, I don't know if there's a judge in the world that would reward him for the behavior and how he treated women. My God. Like,
He was like, "Ho, sit down." That's
We'll leave it there, and now I want to get
to be in a
into.
room with her.
Oh my God. We need female executives like that. Cookie
Yes.
Lion needs to go run CBS.
Exactly.
she just made.
Shit.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm just pulling up something here. I'm sorry, pardon me, because I want to.
Cookie Lions.
Okay. So I want to start with now. You two lovely ladies were featured in a recent photo shoot for Hollywood Reporter. So tell us a little bit about that and what that and how that. First of all, what it was all about, because it was like amazing to see that. I used to, full disclosure, used to work there. Tell us about what that was all about and how that came
about.
Yes.
Yeah. We're part of a group called BWB.
Yeah.
It's a Black Women's Writers Group who
Yeah.
brunch. And it was started by Erica Johnson and KJ, I'm blanking on KJ's last name, and KJ Carroll, and Lena Waithe. And what it is just, it started out as a couple years ago, only 12 Black female writers, and they found themselves having different executives or other writers approach them and say, hey, we need Black females for this. Do you know anybody who, because I know you're busy, do you know anyone who may be interested? And they're like, yeah, we need to start growing our network of peers so that we can be the ones to help provide other women's opportunities that we have been afforded ourselves.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's
And one of the members of the group, Latoya Morgan, who's also a writer, she knew one of the reporters there, Rebecca's son, and told her about our group.
Okay.
I think after we had a trip to Palm Springs that we're
Yeah.
now going to be doing annually, where we get together and hang out. And
Nice.
they saw our picture on Facebook, and we were like, oh, wow. And we're like, yes,
we do exist.
Everybody who's looking, we're here. They linked up and they wanted to do the feature on everybody, and it was just such
Nice.
it was a beautiful, just a great moment to just see your peers, and everybody came, fresh, ready, and I was just like, oh my gosh, everybody was just so beautiful. So yeah,
Nice.
it was fun.
The interesting when I saw that shoot, it's like, as much as I love the visibility and it's a beautiful thing, and now you just wish that, like, when are we going to get the time where, like, we don't need shoots like that because it's just
Right.
a
It's
level
normal.
playing
It's just
field.
normal.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I hope in my lifetime, please.
Yes. And I'm hoping sooner rather than later, as more young people get their own shows greenlit,
Yeah.
I think it's more intrinsic, just natural for us, just organic for us to work in diverse settings than it is from some of the old guard.
Yeah.
Some of the old guard. I'm hoping that this is something that inspires people to do more about diversity.
Okay, so starting with now Empire. You both have been there the full duration.
I have been there full since
has.
season 1.
Season two.
Okay, so you joined season 2.
Yeah.
Tell me now, because the Me Too movement broke in the midst of, like, halfway through. Tell me just to start off this conversation, what have been, like, two of the biggest things you've seen change, both as a result of behind the scenes of a TV production and then on screen as a result of the Me Too and TimesUp movement?
Yeah, I think a lot of ladies have just been empowered, and even within our own social networks, to just speak out and call out and let people become aware of the people who are guilty of this, that you may not be aware of. I just things like that, like we're being made aware of people that we should never be in business with or work with.
One of the things is that we're having conversations about it in our room, and you know, like because you know, like everybody isn't of the same mind, but even some of the men are kind of saying, yeah, this is really messed up.
I never looked at it this way,
but now I understand. So I think just even having the conversation has been a big deal.
Yes.
I think people are definitely more cognizant of how they approach folks, for sure.
Yes.
Which
trepidatious at times too, which is always entertaining. but
yeah, you have to be cognizant and know. I mean, it's not that hard to treat people well.
It's not that
do
hard.
unto others as you would have them do unto you.
To me, you probably spend a lot more energy, you know, just
going out of your way
to make somebody else uncomfortable.
It's true. In the writers' room at Empire, how many total writers?
Okay.
Right now, this season, we have 13. And we've gone as high as 14, as low as 12, I believe.
Yeah. What's the split between male-female ratio?
It's always 50-50.
Yeah, it is 50-50.
And our show, again, you know, I'm going to give it up to Senna Hamry and Eileen Chaikin, as well as Lee and Danny, when the show started, for making sure that we had representation, you know, in terms of our male-female dynamics, but also with people of color. You go onto our set, it is one of the most diverse sets you have ever seen. And I mean,
hair, makeup,
costumes, the camera crew. You know, we have our girls, you know, holding the cameras. You know, female grips.
Love
it's
that.
just which is foreign to the majority of our industry.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
I wish they would do like a spread on our crew.
On our production. Because
you hear that, everybody?
We're
pitching it right here.
No, seriously, because it's unlike anything that you've ever seen, and it's the best thing ever. You know, I remember, I think Brie, who's playing Captain Marvel, was mentioning how her first time shooting, I think that film, she was on a diverse set or shooting a film, I think, with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
She was talking about how, like, oh my God, like, she was like, I don't understand how our industry is so segregated. And I'm like, yeah, it really is, you know? And she's been working since she was 7 years old, so.
The interesting thing is, like, when you think about Lee Daniels and Shonda Rhimes, I point to, they were kind of always ahead of the curve. Like, champions for diversity, but not even just, like, the untold stories, the people, like, really showing what, like, America and the world at large really looks like in the stories, right? So this is kind of like a watershed moment in the sense that now everyone else came along.
Yes.
Like, oh, yeah, see, these stories really are good. We really can tell these stories.
And it works.
Yeah, it does work. So now, was there conversations in terms of like how you did storylines say have to be altered or reconsidered because of the culture we live in and the sensitive culture? Like, how sensitive is that when you guys are coming up with storyline, or do you? Well, go ahead.
And here's the thing, in every writer's room, there's always a debate about, you know, the stories that we're telling, what are we saying, how are we presenting our characters, but we tend to not shy away from stuff like that because it's always been Empire, you know, they kind of go there. I mean, the first season, Jamal was being put in his trash can because he was in his mother's high heels by his father. Yeah. So I think with
the envelope is kind of in the blood of the show, the DNA of the show.
Exactly. Yeah. And with that being said, I would hope that because of this movement that's going on, we would infuse that into more of our narratives going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, because you produce also, but you also write, do the rest of the writers on site where you guys are in Chicago? Is that common for most TV shows, or is no? It's not, right?
It's not. So the writers' room is actually based in Los Angeles, and we shoot in Chicago. So every time a writer writes an episode, they fly out to Chicago to shoot.
Nice. Okay.
I'm looking forward to being in the snow, but gotta do what you gotta do. Gotta work hard for this money. But yeah, no, it's not a common thing. It is becoming a thing because I think the tax breaks, you know, they shoot in Atlanta,
money. It's always
Chicago.
Money.
It's always about the green guys.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
No?
Those questions.
Okay. So my next thing is just diversity and women's progress at large from a producer, because we did see that embarrassing report about it's just the director thing still just is an Achilles heel.
Yeah.
So just at large, your thoughts, like, where are we at the state of diversity and this just in all positions, your guys' positions, but like, give me a read on that.
I will tell you, one of the again, credit to Lee, Danny, and Eileen for setting this tone the first season. But one thing that they were very cognizant of is making sure that we have women and people of color, a huge slate for our directors. So that's not an issue. But I feel like I wish, again, I would like a crew picture so that people can see for other shows
what it's really like,
and just know that like it will infuse your show. You know what I mean? It's not gonna I don't know if there's a stigma that we can't because they're not good and this and that. But
no, it's a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors. No, and it's so funny that you brought this up. We actually had a brunch with our BWB group yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And we had a brunch with them, and it's one of those things that I always think about, and I see this room full of beautiful, colorful women, and I'm like, why isn't that the case everywhere? And why isn't that everybody's experience when it should be? I just feel like as much as it's nice to have that photo shoot to say, hey, we're here, it would be much nicer if when we look at other rooms, and we see as much diversity as we see in those rooms. You know what I'm saying? There was actually a member who started a social movement on Show Us Your Room, so that we could see
newsroom.
Writers' room.
Or writers' room
too.
We
can see
okay.
how diverse it is, and it can't just be in the writers' room or on camera. It needs to be in the executive ranks. That's also
it needs to be at the studios and the networks, to be completely honest.
Everywhere.
And in the newsrooms, as you just said, in journalism, because that also plays a role in terms of how we're covered. And
the lens.
Exactly. The lens. The lens needs to be diverse in terms of...
And then, dare I say, the talent agencies.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's where it all starts.
100%.
Because it's like they're the ones packaging it, they're the ones repping. It's just like... And that is probably the whitest part of Hollywood.
Right.
Probably going to engage. Thank you. This has been our last episode.
We're all going to get calls from our reps.
But okay, so this is interesting for me because I as a white guy. So when you're doing a show that is predominantly based in it's urban and it has to write characters to be authentic, do you struggle then in a reverse way where hard to find white writers that can actually write properly?
Funny enough, no.
Okay. No, and I'm not even asking that to sound like a dumb. I'm asking legit.
It's a very good question, and it's also it should be the same reverse. There should not be this idea that as a black person coming into the room, you need to come and speak for only the black characters, or that you can't write as well we're people. And I think that's why we do the job that we do, because we like to step in other people's shoes and be able to
explore the human condition,
share narratives about their experiences.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so then my other thing is female. Is there a pledge within Empire with this whole pay disparity thing that was going on, or can we not speak about that? Okay,
we can't speak about that.
Oh my God.
We're gonna have you back, part 2.
Right.
Okay, so then let's talk about it at large in the industry.
Right.
Where do you think we're at? I mean, I personally think we're not there.
I
think it's
we're not even
nowhere near there.
We're not close to there. It's problematic, and
again,
it's going to
studios and networks should be looking at. You cannot complain about a president who operates the way that he does if you don't seriously take a look at yourself in the mirror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's only able to do what he does because somewhere out there's somebody else that's mirroring his exact.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So let's get to more of the show because it does play in
stuff.
Yeah, the juicy stuff. Well, first of all, what I've liked about this season, you're touching really deeper topics and also nichier topics like the whole Jamal HIV, but it went deeper in a way, and I think because Lee knows this community, it really was real. I want to run a clip really fast to set this up, and then we'll talk. It's with Kai and Jamal.
I'm a victim of a partial truth. You know that. Truth conquers all, Jamal.
Baby, it's not the
No,
same.
baby, listen
it's
to me.
not the same.
Jamal, listen to me. I know myself, and if I don't release this story, I'm gonna end up resenting you for asking me to kill it.
So that really touches us because journalism, it's like you're really caught between, like, if he knew he had a story about that. But why don't you set up better for the audience here this storyline with Jamal and Kai? Because you've been close to it, obviously.
Yes. It's actually one of my favorite parts of this season is because Jamal is such a beloved character on our series.
Played by Jussie Smollett.
Yes, played by the lovely, incredible Jussie Smollett. And to see him find true love with somebody who is HIV positive has been very revelatory in our room, but also to our audience, which was really important to us to kind of remove the stigma around HIV.
Yes.
And really show that, and one of my favorite moments actually from this season was when Kai told Jamal that he was HIV positive, and Jussie actually did this thing and it's on screen, where he was like, well, I'm sorry to inform you, I'm negative. Like, which I just thought was so brilliant and so beautiful, because it's like, let's take that off and start loving people.
There's a lot of stigma. Well, like, that's what the thing, in the gay community, it's sort of gotten to a point where it's not so much a physical. It's like there's medications that are so advanced, but it's still a social. Exactly. It's more than anything. It just changes the. Yeah, so the way you're playing the story has hit so many chords, and it's really... Do you guys write specifically to that storyline?
Well, we write all the storylines, but one of our episodes this season was episode 5, when Cookie found out that Kai was... He wrote the episode where she, with our co-writer Jamie Rosenberg, when she found out that Kai was HIV positive, and it was a surprise I'm sure for the audience, for Cookie, but not really, because she kind of represents the audience in a way where it's like, she was concerned. She was
legitimately like, you're gonna die. She was like, no, that's a natural reaction.
What are you doing? But then we allowed Cookie to educate herself by kind of finding out, what is PrEP? What is, things that, a large part of the Black community is unaware of. You know what I mean? So,
I found out what PrEP was by watching How to Get Away with Murder. You know what I mean? So I think
Right. So it's just really important, I think, just to kind of get that information out there, but also be true to our characters and how it impacts, their journeys going forward.
So when you come up with like these kind of like human interest issues where you're hitting like real issues, how did that come to pass?
Well, funny enough, it's something that Jussie wanted in the show since like season 1. Like he really wanted to hit that, and I think it just took it being at the right time.
Yes.
We're in season 5 now. We've been with these characters for a long time. We trust them. And also, like you just said, when the show started, we were crazy out there, so zany.
Oh, absolutely.
And I could only imagine how a different HIV story probably would have been told in season 1 than the one that we were able to tell in season 5, which was beautiful.
You're right. Like the character development, like you're invested in the characters. Yes. You still weave in that, like, to me, first season was just all about like Cookie's one-liners and just cookie.
Boo Boo Kitty.
Yeah, Boo Boo Kitty.
The shocker.
Which we love.
The bib, all types of craziness.
This touches your heart, like this pulls your heartstrings, and then you still keep the flair and the...
Yes. We try. Do you find yourself crying a little bit more?
I do. It's a sadder season, but in a good way. It's just touching, And we're going to get to the next thing with Cookie's sister. So, like, I want to run that clip when they confront the sister.
Oh, yeah.
No wonder they got separated.
Separated? Why did she tell me?
What the hell is this?
Pull your sleeve up, Candace.
What?
Just do it.
Don't touch me.
Candace, please.
I will not.
Okay, damn it. How long has Kevin been beating you, and why didn't you tell us?
You are out of your league and out of your mind. Nobody is hitting me. Not Kevin or anyone. Excuse me.
Okay, coming back in from that. the casting here, by the way. They really are like sisters. Vivica.
All of those
I was
women.
gonna say,
I will watch
every
the show all day, every day.
It's
With
so
Sasha
good.
Smith, Taraji P. Henson, and Vivica Fox, they can have their own spinoff, and I'm here for it.
Yes.
Yeah, we love them so much.
So again, another story. Like again, a female being beat by her husband, trying to conceal it from even her closest loved ones. It was told. You're so used to the over-the-top stuff too, like going through what's her name, falling over the glass, which is all great, and it's got that soapy,
Right.
that soapy drama. But this to me is just like touching issues that are real,
Yes,
in a real way.
And it was not her husband. It was her son.
Yes,
Who had,
that's right.
Yes, who had mental
sorry.
health issues. No. And this was actually particularly special. It came up from
A real story
from one of the writers in our room.
Oh wow.
Who had an aunt have to call the police on her son, who was then arrested, and then I think he died when he was in the cell.
Oh God.
Something happened, and it's just one of those things I think that you would fight with, like, okay, if I don't call the police, I run the risk of
losing my life.
Yeah.
But if I do call the police, I run the risk
of my son
or somebody close to me losing their life. And it's a difficult position that Black and brown people find themselves in a lot.
Yes.
And Cookie, once again, was able to speak to that. Like, who do we call, when we need protection? And I think it was just really beautiful. All three women, I mean, Vivica killed it.
She killed it.
To feel the betrayal she felt from her sister calling the cops in that moment. But in that moment, she didn't know what else to do.
They gave her a little face the truth of her own.
Exactly.
They really did.
Exactly.
So what can you tell us about when it returns on March 6th? Ooh. Give us something.
We have some good things coming up. I mean, as you guys saw at the end of the mid-season, we find out that Lucious has a son that he has previously had with another woman. So I would
Kingsley is the character played by
AZ.
Yes.
So I think you can expect a little bit of a fracture between Cookie and Lucious. We'll have to work our way through that journey, but yeah.
That was a great twist.
Oh my gosh.
It needed that.
Yeah.
It's like there's just something so cool about like the way that you guys have weaved in and out of like adversaries, and it keeps taking it was Felicia Rashad and the the power of families versus power, and now it's like the white sheep quote,
exactly.
The white sheep of the family coming in, and it's really good.
Completely unexpected.
I'm like gushing, I'm fanboying out here, but
it's
never been. It's like, to me again, season 1 was like, I think most shows that come out the gate, like Empire, basically restored. Remember at the time it came out, restored faith in excuse me. I'm sorry. Restored faith in appointment viewing.
Yes.
And I love it how everyone, that's why rating articles too, because again, working in trades and seeing that, it's like the minute that it of course the show is going to settle in,
Exactly.
season 5. Desperate Housewives did too.
We had a meteoric rise season 1 every single week. So,
sometimes it's like, when it's like so high, it's hard to, okay. So just tell me like any other final thoughts like this season that you want us to know about, viewers to know about.
I'm very excited for upcoming episodes, for the fun. I would say
our artists are going on tour. One of my favorite couples, I'm into the couples. One of our favorite couples this season is Kai and Jamal. So there's going to be something very special coming up with them this season that I can't wait.
So they're going to stay together. Because he's like, he goes into those danger zones. So you let Jamal know if he needs like a entertainment journalist. I'm here.
Good to know.
But okay, so we'll follow that. I love the Kingsley. Thank you so much for coming here, because it was really good to get some perspective just from like top show producers. So proud of everything you're doing over there. Thank you for coming. Alina, can you please tell our viewers where they can find us?
Yes. So you guys can find us on Facebook and YouTube. obviously,
Yes.
at MTHP on Apple Podcasts as well. Rate us, like us, give us those reviews. You can follow us on Instagram at Meet the Hollywood Press and on Twitter at Meet the HWD Press. Yes, and I just want to say thank you, ladies, for all that you do for the culture, for everything. Yes, it was amazing having you guys here.
Follow them both, your Insta handles.
Oh, I am at Janika James on Instagram.
And I am at Lasheika James on Instagram.
And tune into Empire March 6th when it returns on Fox. Thank you, everyone, for watching us. Join us next week for another Meet the Hollywood Press Sunday Fun Day.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.